Hey guys, this is going to be a tutorial on hand lettering for beginners. I'll start off by showing you what we're going to be working on in this tutorial. As you can see, we've got two styles, both very similar. The difference is the L and the H. The reason I've chosen to work on the word whole is because I think these four letters will give you some good experience in getting used to the brush pen. I'll quickly show you the drawing of the thumbnail for this video, which was done in this style just to give you an idea of what can be achieved. Okay, so before we start, you're going to need three things: a ruler, a brush pen, and a pencil. For this I'm going to be using a Tombow brush pen, but you can use any brush pen for this. The ruler and pencil will just be used to draw the guidelines. I'll put a link to these three in the description and also the paper that I'm using, which is 200 GSM. So we'll make a start. We'll begin by drawing ourselves some guidelines. I'm just using a baseline and a cap line, but you can add a mean line as well if you feel more comfortable working like that. We'll start off by working on the letter L since it's the most straightforward, and what we're going to do is dissect it. Basically, lines going down should be thick, so you need to apply more pressure to the pen, and lines going up will be thin, so you need to apply less pressure to the pen, and using the tip of the pen also. Now we're going to put these together in two separate strokes, and you can practice this until you feel comfortable with it. Once you feel you have control of the pen, you can try this in a single stroke. To finalise the letter L, we're going to add the last stroke, but this one doesn't always have to be included. I just thought that I might as well include it, just so I'm covering everything. Now see if you can do these three steps all in one, and keep doing it until you feel comfortable with it and you're happy with the outcome. Once you're happy with that, you can move on to the other style. This one's curved, so it's not quite as easy as the previous one. Again, we're going to dissect this letter and put it back together piece by piece so you can see each stroke that make it up. All you're doing is essentially curving the lines that you did for the first L. And once you're comfortable with these separate strokes, try putting it all in one and keep repeating the letter until you're comfortable with it. Now let's move on to the letter H, since it's very similar to the first L that we made. You want to repeat the first two strokes of the L so that you have this L with a tail, and then the second part is almost the same, only smaller, and the thin stroke should connect to the thick stroke at the top rather than near the bottom. Once you feel comfortable with the second part, try connecting it all into one to create the letter H, and keep repeating it until you're happy with it. If you were able to do that letter H and the second letter L that we did, this other letter H shouldn't need too much explaining. In this, you're simply doing the second letter L that we worked on, and adding the extra three strokes that we just worked on in the previous letter H. If you can put those two together, then you've got the second style H, which will match the second letter L that we made. Again, keep repeating this letter until you feel comfortable with it. This is the case with most letters. You need to keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it until you feel absolutely comfortable with it. The next letter we're going to work on is the letter E. The first stroke is going to be like the second L that we worked on, except from it's going to be a little bit more curved. The second stroke can be thick or thin, but that depends on what style you want, and for this I'm going to go with a thin line. Once you're happy with the two strokes, try putting them together and keep repeating the process over and over until you feel completely happy with the letter. The last letter we're going to work on is the letter O. You're going to want to start this one just like the E that we made, except from you want to bring it down a little bit from the cap line, and the thin line that comes around is going to go right up to the cap line and loop back round on itself. When you're actually drawing the letter L, you would be doing it in one stroke rather than two, but I just dissected it for the sake of this tutorial. Just like before, once you're happy with it, you want to repeat this and repeat this until you feel absolutely comfortable with it. Now we'll try and put all these letters together to create the word whole, and we'll start off by doing the more simple style. This whole thing does take time to learn and get used to, so don't get frustrated if your lines are shaky and it doesn't quite flow as well as you'd like. Just stick with it and keep practicing. Once you feel comfortable with the first style, try moving on to the second style, which is a little more difficult, but not that much more difficult. Just keep writing it and writing it and writing it until you feel absolutely comfortable with it. That's just the case with everything. You just want to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Now let's look at different layouts. First we're going to work on an incline, so all you're doing is writing the word again, only this time it's going to gradually move upward. Doing this can make the overall outcome of a piece of type look a lot better, but that's not always the case, so keep that in mind. Now let's try it again, but this time we'll do it on a curve rather than an incline. When I was recording this, I actually did the curve freehand, but if you've got a protractor, a compass or anything round, then feel free to use that. It's probably a better idea. I also just want to note that this style does actually work a lot better with longer words rather than shorter words, so you might not be able to see as clearly the curve in the writing. You'll also see that the first example that I did there wasn't particularly great, so just ignore that one and focus more on the second one that I did, because that one worked quite a bit better. And last thing I want to talk about is if your letters aren't shaped exactly how you want them, there's no need to worry, you can actually go back and just fix them up with the tip of your pen. It's a very fine point if you use it lightly, so it's a very good tool to fix up your letters. In this I'm actually using a light colour, so it's quite easy to see the mistakes, it's quite easy to go over it again, but also you'll notice that there's darker parts where you go over it, so if that's the problem, then just once you've fixed it up, go over the rest of it and fill it in with that colour, and then the colour should be even throughout. And that's about it for this tutorial, guys. One last thing, I know I didn't quite cover every single letter of the alphabet here, which would have taken a hell of a long time, but I will link some community type pages in the description from Instagram that I follow, and trust me, you get a lot of brilliant work on there, inspiration, and you can see other people's styles of lettering as well, which can give you ideas. And now that you understand how to use the brush pen with the thick lines down, thin lines up, you'll be able to grasp other people's styles that they're working on. Hopefully when you're looking at other people's styles now, you'll be able to look at it and go, right, I can do that. So I hope this tutorial's helped you guys. Let me know what other things you need to know about type, and I'll try and work on that as well. Thanks for watching.